Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. We are live right now. It is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the 26th of October, in the year of, oh my God, 2020. Tonight, when it's over, letting go, saying goodbye, getting on with the journey. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Garen Avaloki Teshvara, and that will do. Feel free to call me G. Makes things a lot easier. It's a lot closer to the truth, too. So, first of all, and I want you all to pay very close attention to this, okay? I really do love each and every one of you with the exact same love that I have for Kelly. You see, real love has no boundaries. Real love has no demands. Real love has no need for anything in return. And trust me, living in the state of perfect real love for everyone else around you is the most amazing gift I receive. Why? Because it is coming out of me. And the universe resounds and radiates it back. There's no need for any one piece of that infinite love that I have for all of you to ever return it to me. It's not necessary. It's just for you. It's okay. Open yourself. Accept it. There's a couple things I do want to talk about tonight. One, I'm aware that I look scruffy, worn out, bleary-eyed, and tired, and that's because I am. We've been, I realized I was talking to another group member earlier, and I had said that it was, 14 hours I worked yesterday here on the herbs and the tea and the tinctures and my body sprays and all these products that people love to get their hands on to do this sale this coming weekend. And I realized after it was actually closer to 16. And then it's been nonstop since 7 a.m. this morning too. And or sprinkled, if you will, amongst all of that has been a nonstop need that's been brought to me. Just people who are suffering. The numbers are growing. This pandemic has increased the amount of suffering that people are experiencing on all levels of being. Forgive me a moment. So, what this is, in the terms of exacerbating the suffering, the separation, the anxiety, all the things that people are struggling with, I can't help but be there for each and every one of you. Whoever is brought to me, and I've been talking to Kelly about this the last couple of days. I've been talking to a number of people about it. And as I mentioned in the video just the other day, I'm evolving myself. And in my own evolution of conscious awakening, which is growing deeper and more profound at an accelerated rate, I have to say, I no longer need to consciously reach out to each of you. It just happens. I feel each of you. I am beside each of you. I am there caring for each of you. Why? Because you're part of me. You're part of that wondrous whole. And I do truly love you. And you are so deeply swimming in love. And this is what I want for you, is to simply be free with yourself and allow yourself to experience it. Allow yourself to accept it. To know that there's nothing you could ever do to lose that, ever. It's quite impossible. So this evening we're gonna, take a step back from that, I guess, if you will, for most people, and talk about what turns out to be a really big deal, and that is okay, so how do you let go of those aspects of your life, your aspects of yourself, the aspects of your journey that you're done with, and yet on some level of being you struggle with guilt, perhaps with fear, and the ultimate short answer is you just have to love yourself enough. But that seems a little ephemeral. It doesn't really offer any laid out map work, if you will, to help you in the right direction. So let's just do that this evening. Let's lay out a little bit of that map work. So we're going to talk about friends first. Let's try to keep things a little on the light side. So, as Kelly experienced some nearly 6 years ago now, her awakening beyond the chains that religion had come to represent for her was solitary, as all awakenings are. We don't awaken as a group with our friends and neighbors and family members waking up right alongside of us. I mean, that does happen, but we call that mass death. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about dropping a bomb and waking everyone up at once. I'm talking about that conscious awakening. So what happened is Kelly found herself in a different state of being, a more open and aware state of being, aware of a larger universe, a larger truth. The lovingly ecstatic idea that there was not a creator out there to destroy you or to condemn you in any way, could never be angry at you, could never hold you at fault or to blame. And of course, Kelly wanted everyone else around her to feel that same way because it felt so good. It was such a breath of fresh air to be there. And yet, her family members, the members of her church, all the vast majority of the friends she had because they came out of that community, they were not at that energy level. And no matter how much Kelly tried to communicate to them, she was literally speaking above their understanding, above the level of consciousness that could even see what she was speaking of. And as we talked about change and about how everyone changes, and it's funny how one video kind of leads into another and the topics end up connecting themselves without even really happening, because this video is due to a member request from a member who visited our house today, a very dear friend of ours. And when I am asked to do these things, of course, naturally I will. So here you are in your new state of consciousness, in your growing awareness over over your lifetime of journey. And please do not deny every step of your journey. When you've grown enough, you're going to look back at the bastards and morons and assholes, excuse the language. God, what's happening to me? Must be because I'm tired. And all those people that you labeled back in those days for the terrible things they did to you, and you're going to chuckle and realize what a gift they were. Doesn't mean you ever want to talk to them again. You don't have to. But you will chuckle and realize what a gift they were. What a gift it's all been. What a gift this whole experience has been. So never look at those stepping stones as a bad thing or to be thrown away. They had their value. Because without that other stone, you wouldn't have got to the next stone and the next stone and the next stone. So here you are in your awakening consciousness, and the best friend you've had for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever the case may be, he or she is not growing. Not yet. Their path is different. You find that the conversation that you used to be able to accept and the experience that used to be has now changed. It's not the same. No experience is supposed to be the same, but you don't like what's happening. It doesn't feel good anymore. You don't come away from the experience feeling uplifted and happy and joyful. You come away feeling drained and sucked away because the level of their consciousness is anchored in negativity and fear and worry. How do we deal with letting this go? How do we deal with the end of that relationship. And I apologize. It looks like my stream is having major issues again, and I am praying it is not the new Bluetooth headphones that Kelly has that are interfering with my bandwidth. We're gonna see.
Your voice is still coming across.
Good, as long as that's still coming through. Yeah, Kelly was just saying the voice is still coming through. Okay, so that's good. So you know, how do you deal with this? Because of course you feel guilty. You have a long history with this person. They've been there with you a long time. You've shared a journey together. The first thing you have to understand is that you are not responsible for the state of another. As a matter of fact, you have no control over the state of another. What you are responsible for is to live from a place of honesty and truth and openness with yourself. And if you can do that, it naturally extends outward. You know, Kelly mentioned to the group member who is here today that Garen has no secrets from anybody. He will tell anybody, even a complete stranger, whatever they want to know about him to satisfy them because he simply does not care about it. And what that really means is there's no need for me to hide any aspect of myself from anyone. I can be totally open, totally honest, and encourage others to open up in return. Now, you're going to run into people who won't open up. They're not ready for it. Their consciousness isn't there. If you're finding that there's no longer a commonality, if you're finding that the fit isn't right anymore, that's the sign from life that it's time to let that go, to make room for new experiences, for a new group of beings to become part of your existence. A group of beings that are vibrating at that same space, sharing that same level of consciousness or close enough to that level of consciousness that those people are open, and the discussions and what you are going through and how you're approaching your experiences is on common ground with each other. This is the tough part, is letting go of the programming that you somehow owe somebody because of that friendship, that you're responsible for their state of being. I mean, egoically, it feels kind of powerful, right? I can affect my friend. If I tell my friend I don't like my friend anymore, and that's not what this is about. You know, you love your friend either way, but you know that where you are right now, you're not at the level of consciousness to be able to sit with that friend for 2 hours. It's too much draw on you. It's pulling you down. And you need to love yourself right now. You do. And that's the honest part. All it takes is going to the people and saying, look, I've loved the experiences we've had there, but my life is taking on new dimension. I find my consciousness in a different space. And I just want to say how precious this has been, and I love you. And if you truly, truly, truly need me, give me a shout. Otherwise, I'm not going to be coming over anymore. I'm moving on in a new direction. Please don't think you're being left behind. You're not. You're on your own path, and I respect that. And I'd rather leave things in this beautiful state of friendship than to offer any opportunity for it to end any other way in the future. You will or will not get a good response to that, and that's not in your control either. It really isn't. But consider the alternative. Consider what happens when we don't find a way to approach the situation openly and honestly with another. The dysfunction begins. We speak about the other couple behind their back. We think things about the other people that we're involved with behind our back or behind their backs. Our base feeling inside is not truly appropriate to what we're relaying outward. We've allowed ourselves to be untrue to ourselves. We've become false. We've put that mask on. And as soon as we put that mask on, the dysfunction begins because your being is not interested in wearing a mask anymore. You've been wearing that mask for too long. You've been programmed to put that mask on your face, programmed to be a certain way, to show a certain way, to behave a certain way, and to never ever change from this because I like you just the way you are right now. Well, guess what? You are an evolving conscious being. Everyone else has got to get the hell over it. And you can approach that out of deep love. So let's talk about the most dire of situations. And, I got to tell you, for every single one of you who have gone through this or in the process of going through this or may go through this, you are far from alone. The sheer number of young women that I spoke to and counseled over the last year and still deal with on many levels in many ways, whose consciousness is growing, who want to begin the process of adulting and finding a focus and a direction of growth in their life and lead and raise their children responsibly, are finding that the male in the existence is still stuck in party mode on graduation day. Hasn't evolved one bit. I had a young lady in my door one time who said, yeah, my husband went out and got drunk last night and got a DUI. So now on top of everything else, I have to drive him to work every day for the next 6 months and go pick him up. She was ready to kill herself or him. So what do we do in situations like this? What do we do when, and it doesn't matter whether you're the male or the female, although and you know what? I got to stop the truck right here for a minute and talk about something very briefly that's incredibly important and incredibly empowering to every single woman on this planet. Please hear what I have to say. After 10,000 years of patriarchal, ego-based power and control, Mother Nature, creation, the whole of it is shifting back the other way. It really is. We are on the course for a matriarchal future. It's available to us. And every single woman out there, whether she's aware of it or not, is suffering the dysfunction of that genetic damage that has been passed down generation to generation to generation of what the patriarchal BS has done to the feminine in this world. I've got such good news for you. It's almost over. A return to the feminine is on the rise. A return to gentleness, to connectivity, to receptivity, to the mothering of the planet and each other is on the rise. The time is almost here for that. To begin the true healing. It's happening at every level, right down to the fact that young boys being born are far more likely to suffer with childhood diseases and childhood issues than young girls are. Male's lifespan is decreasing faster than a woman's. Women are maturing far faster than men are on every level. It's happening. I hate to say I told you so, but I did. Ha! Okay, segue over back to this. So, based on this, more than likely it's a woman leaving a man. You've been with that person for years. Your lives have been intertwined. Egoically, you've become very used to the situation, even if that situation was bad. And maybe it's just been recently in your state of consciousness that you realize what you allowed to happen to yourself. What do? Well, the first thing you do is you take away the blame. You don't blame him or you. You're both equally responsible, but not to be blamed. You see, there's no end to blame. It's a never-ending spiral you can never leave. But responsibility offers a path forward. Responsibility for the creation, the relationship up to date, and the willingness to take responsibility for oneself moving forward. To say no more. Now, that no more isn't an easy no more. To get to that no more, you have to go through guilt. You have to go through fear. You have to go through insecurity, the idea that maybe you're not doing the right thing. All the programming will be faced in these events. And these are the gift to you that they offer. The ability to see that programming, to see these things writ large right in front of you, and then choose. Choose from a space of loving yourself first. Because if you don't love yourself first, and you try to choose for loving someone or something else, it's doomed. Your only choice is to choose out of a love for yourself. And you have to be willing to love yourself. You have to be willing to realize that all of life has been risk, and this is no different risk than all of life. Therefore, there is no risk. You're dead either way at the end of this. Sorry, not evil enough. It's true. You're dead either way. Take the risks. That's what you're here to do. So what do you communicate to that other person? The in most cases when there's someone leaving due to a shift in their consciousness or their awareness changing, you're not going to really be able to communicate with that other person very well. In the same way that Kelly couldn't communicate to her Christian friends her new understanding. They couldn't hear it. Don't expect them to hear it. Speak from the highest place within your being. Stand in your true power and speak from that place of love and acceptance and gratitude for the experience to date, and then let them go. Set them free too. And if you find them trying to cling, that's not on you anymore. That speaks volumes to where they're at. Be as compassionate as possible, but be willing to walk away. And I will tell you the depths to which this is necessary, okay? And let's just get right to the point. I told Kelly a long time ago, and I had to remind her of it again today, that if I ever suspected that her development as a student to my teachings was causing her to become dependent on me, to hide under my robe as opposed to stand on the edge of my hands and fly, that out of a deep, perfect love for her, I would have to find another place to be. Now, depending who you are and what's happened in your life, you may or may not understand that. Quite frankly, I don't care. But I do care to help you understand. If a relationship creates a codependency or a dependency from one towards the other, is that doing the relationship a service? If you're selfless you will look upon that and you will say, this is not helping the other person. This is actually hindering their development. This is causing an issue. If you're coming from a place of selfishness, you don't really care because you're getting what you need. All these things come into play when we're dealing with these sort of things. And, this may sound a little rough and tough and, make you feel a little depressed. I assure you it's not. It's part of the most glorious journey you're ever going to take. But every single one of you are going to take that walk in the desert, that 40 days alone in the desert. And the reason you have to take that trip alone, and you're never alone, but you're going to feel like you're alone, is because your awakening is part of that whole, but the entirety of creation is only focusing on your awakening as it happens. It is a solitary experience. It is an inner experience, an inner flowering of your being. And no two flowers are ever the same. Only you are going to awaken in the way that you are going to awaken. That's part of the experience. The universe doesn't want multiple experiences that are the same. It wants everyone to be unique. Why not? It's much more fun. And that awakening is going to involve the dissolution of all the things in your life that are no longer serving you. Trust, faith, that when you see those relationships falling away and you see that you're changing and you see that you're no longer interested in these things, take heart. Be glad. It is the sign of the untruth falling away, the sign of the no longer necessary leaving, the sign that those parts of your life are now over. Never to be lost, never to be forgotten. Glorious, lovable, incredible experiences that have led you to this awakening and cherished for eternity by you. But turn around. Look ahead. This is your life now. And the road starts alone. It has to. It's your path. But just around the next corner, there's another crowd of people who speak your language now, who are ready to welcome you into that vibrational state of being and the other beings who are close to that vibration to share and support your future growth. Be not afraid. Embrace it. Do not allow the two greatest enemies of yourself, fear and guilt, to stop this process in any way. Do not hold yourself responsible for someone who whines and cries and grabs at your pant cuffs as you're walking out the door for the last time. That's only a power play. Be as compassionate and caring as possible and let them go. For their sake and for your sake. You're not being selfish. You're being open, you're being honest, you're being fair, and most of all, you're assisting both parties in the very best way possible, even if the other one can't see it. Nothing will stop the egoic program that it's used to running regarding the other person for a long period of time. And it'll pop up from time to time. Avoid judging it. Don't allow it to be a depressing experience. I say the same thing about my military service. It was pure hell in a lot of times. The best time and yet the worst time of my existence. I look back at it and I shrug and say, yeah, great. See ya. Thanks for what you did for me, but I'm no longer there. I'm here now. Open yourself to the realization that in the falling away of all these things and the realization that you have to let go, life, the river of life, is carrying you to a new destination. Things can only get better. A new future, a new adventure, new growth, new opportunity. Embrace it. Love it. Be grateful for it. And be true to yourself, always. That's it. That's all. I'm not going to keep you anymore tonight. Much love to you, of course. It is the most rewarding experience to care for others, as tiring as it can be sometimes. It takes a lot of energy to lift others up out of deep, dark states of being, and I gratefully and gladly give it to all of you whenever necessary. Take care. Namaste, and good night.